Well, hello little pot. If you want to make something like this, I'm going to show you how in this video. Welcome back. If you are new to my channel and you haven't seen my last video, go back and watch that. I explain which tools you can use that you can find at home. I'm just gonna get straight into this one. So we're making a vase, okay? We are making a pinch pot vase. Now, I love making vases. This was one of my absolute favorite things to make when I started out. Again, I made so many of them. So you're gonna get your board, water, your card. I'm gonna reuse this guy. And then I'm gonna get myself some clay. So we've got the floss. And I'm just gonna take a piece off here. And I'm gonna take a piece off here. This isn't enough floss. Alrighty, so I've got my clay. Now, this is actually quite important to use the same amount of clay for each pinch pot. The way that we are gonna make this pinch pot is, the way that we wanna make this vase is by using 2 equal pinch pots, and it is quite important. So make sure that you get your pinch pots even. Now I'm just gonna do a bit of this to get the clay into a bit more of a unified shape. Okay, and now I'm gonna create my bowl. So this is a little bit smaller than the bowl that I made. I think with vases, when you're starting out, in my opinion, it's nice to start smaller just because it can get a little bit overwhelming, especially when you're attaching a few things together. So I've got one of my balls of clay. And you can see I'm just bashing the clay on my palm like this to get it uniform. Whew. You kind of work weird muscles in your hands and your arms when you're making pieces, when you're hand building, even when you're throwing, but I always find that I have muscles in my hand that I've never used before when I start pinching. All right, so we can see this one's a bit smaller. So I'm gonna actually, you know what, instead of taking clay away from that one, I'm gonna add a little bit. An important thing to do as well when you're working is wrap your clay up. You can just twist it like that. You don't want it to dry out. Because once your bag of clay dries out, you can't really use it. You can rehydrate it and re-wedge it, but as a beginner, it's really annoying. So just keep the bag nice and tight like that and put it off to the side. Okay, so I'm just gonna smush that into my bowl, use my hand. You can also do this on your board to get it nice and even. All right. Okay. Here we go. So to make my pinch pot, we push. Remember how we make enough space on the bottom. Now I want the base to be curved of this one, so I'm making sure that the base is really nice and circular. I'm kind of pressing it into my thumb here so you can see what I'm doing there. And then I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna start to pinch. So pinch, pinch, pinch. I can already tell one side is a little thicker than the other. But hey, that's all right. Nobody's perfect. Okay, pinchy, pinch, pinch. Now I am gonna go around and I'm gonna drag it up. So if you remember, we did this in the last one. I'm just pulling and dragging with my thumb. And I don't actually wanna bash this on the table because I wanna keep this circular shape. So I have to keep it up like this in my hand. Here we go. Now, this is when it gets a little bit hard to reach in there with your thumb. So you can get your two fingers like this, holding on the outside and sweeping across. But I'm sweeping down the bottom actually, not at the top. And you can see I'm getting a bit of a cracky situation. You can get your card. And you can compress. This is called compressing. So you're basically smushing two separate parts together. Got bit by a mosquito, it's itchy. Just scratching. Okay, back to it. Tap it, level it out on the table. Then I'm gonna put it off to the side. And I'm gonna make another one, exactly the same. And done. Ha. Right, so this is what the inside looks like. And this is what the inside of this one looks like. So we actually want these two to be about the same because we're gonna attach them like this. Now I have decided this one's gonna be the bottom. So I'm gonna go like that. And I can flatten that one out. And now that I have these measured out a little bit, I'm actually gonna put them aside for a little bit, like 30 minutes, 30 to 20, just until they get a bit firmer so that when I attach them, it's not a big floppy mess, okay? So we'll be right back. What you wanna do is you wanna, now that we've got that nice little base, you see that? That is my base. I'm gonna flip this upside down and then I'm gonna put it in the sun. Put it somewhere warm and dry. Yeah, see you soon. I had a minor issue with the filming here, so bear with me guys. I am gonna be doing a voiceover from here. So once you have your two halves like this, they should be something called leather hard, which means that they kind of feel hard to the touch. Then you're gonna go in with your skewer or your spiked tool and you're going to score the edges of each cup that you have, your pinch pot, sorry, that you've just made, because we're going to be attaching these together. Once you scored each side, you're going to add a little bit of water to your piece. Sometimes when you add water, you need to go over the cross hatching that you've just done again so that it still has a bit of texture to it, because if you smooth it out, it's not going to join nicely and you could get an air bubble in there and a crack. Okay, you don't want your piece to crack right in the center. I'm just lining it up nicely and then I'm going to leave it to sit for a moment. This is a really cute shape here, so you could actually just blend these together and leave it at this kind of shape, but we're going to go a little bit further and we're going to open up the top to create the vase kind of neck, I suppose, and this is going to help you in the next step. Then you're going to get the card and you're going to blend out that line or the join, I should say, that you just made those two pieces. I find that a swiping up motion and then a swiping across motion smooths it out really nicely. As you can see, it's a bit of back and forth. Then the next step to get it nice and even is rolling it on your board, so make sure you wipe it down in case there's any little cruddy pieces, because they will get stuck in your piece, so you just want to make sure that you're working on a clean surface there.
Then we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of fresh clay, and this is going to be for attaching around the join. You're going to make a little coil, so roll it in your hands first and then get it on your nice clean board. And we're just going to be attaching that to the outside just to kind of give you an extra security for that join that you've just made, to ensure that you don't get any more cracking. With my coils, I like to start from the center and then roll out with a very gentle pressure. That'll give you a nice and even coil. Then we're going to wrap it around that seam that you see there, and we're going to blend that into the body of the piece. So I like to use the skewer to put in there just to kind of help me with the pressure, you know, so I don't poke my finger through the piece. And all I'm doing to blend the clay in is to just swipe the clay up and down. So I'm getting that top edge and that bottom edge to make sure that it doesn't crack. I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million times again. Then we're going to clean off our board again and roll it on the table just to give it that nice oval shape. It's my favorite way to do it, but if you like that more rustic kind of handmade look, then you don't have to do that. I also go in with the card again just to smooth it out and kind of clear off any clay gunk. You can see I'm wiping off the card right there, and then I'm rolling it again because it's actually super fun. So give it a go.
You could make this a candlestick holder. You could make this, you could actually make this a soap dispenser. That's a bit more advanced, but you got to account for shrinkage because it gets smaller when it gets fired. There's a lot to consider. Alright, so what we're going to do now, we've got this very awkward, ugly looking opening. I'm just going to tidy that up. I'm going to clean my card off of it first. And I'm going to just tidy up the hole. It's really hard knowing when to stop when you're hand building, to be honest. I think that's one of the great skills of pottery. And you know what? Dare I say, life in general is just knowing when to stop. So what we're left with is this. And I'm gonna add a spout and some handles. So I am making myself a little coil again. Another day, another coil is what the potters say. And actually, no, I am gonna add some water like I did in the last video. I changed my mind. See? This is what I warned you about in the last video. This is bad. I'm gonna cut that off. Score my piece, my little donut together. Add a bit of water. Push this together. Score, score, score. It doesn't matter so much as it did in the last one which side to use of this, because we're gonna make a few coils. And we're gonna blend. Ooh, I'm gonna press the inside in a little bit. Kind of just like pressing like that. You can see. Now let's do that again. Scoring, 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 scoring. And then scoring on here too. Now I want to blend that in a little bit on the inside, so I'm just going to get the skewer and roll it around, because I can't really fit my finger in there. If I had a tool, I could get the tool in there and use that, but I don't have one, so it's okay. I'm going to make a few more coils. BRB. One thing I want to say about coils is if they start getting uneven around the rim, what you want to do is you want to get your skewer or get the card and slice it off to make it even. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with a super wonky pot, which might be what you're going for, but it also makes it harder just to make in general. So keep that in mind. All right, I think one more is what I'm going to do. Now, one of the reasons you don't want to add a bunch of water is because it actually makes your piece quite slippery. So I added too much water then when I did that coil, and now it's kind of just like smushy. So don't make it smushy. Okay, all right. And then I'm gonna go around and compress. There's a bug, I think. We have a little bottle shape. Now, this is a really cute little bud vase. You could leave it like this, but I want to make it a little bit more extra special for you. I want to make it a little bit more fun. Now, I love to make really funky shapes on the wheel, and I like to smush things. If I had more tools, I would probably like dimple this a little bit, but I don't, so I'm not gonna do anything too crazy. All right, now what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some little handles. Comment if you think yes handles or no to the handles. Do it now. Do it. And then comment again when it's done and say if you liked the handles or not, or you liked it before. Handle time. Fresh clay, of course. Just deciding where I want them to sit. I kind of like this. Ooh, that was an accident, but I like them being thicker in the middle like that and then thinner at the bottom. Woo. All right. Let's. Nice, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna dip it in the water and then I'm gonna just mark for myself where it's going. And I'm gonna do some scoring. Press on. Now with handles, when you are using one of these, you can actually use it to just press it on. So you can kind of roll it in there. It's actually really good for little details and stuff like that. Ooh, that is cute. Look at that. I did that. Did you make this vase? Yeah, I did. I love it. Oh, thank you. Okay, one down, one to go. Am I right? My next one, the real challenge is just gonna be to make it look like this one. But if I was a little bit more forward thinking, I would have made both of them, then attached it just so I knew that I had the same one. But that's okay. It's not as nice and like chunky. I like the chunkiness in this one. This side, that's what I'm really into. I think it's a bit too long. And I gotta make sure that I'm doing this evenly. So I wanna like mark it. You can see I've marked it there. And then I'm gonna check this side. It's not as good. I'm gonna start again. So I had a teacher once who used to make you only fire a piece if you thought it stood the 1,000-year test. Now, what that means is that pottery, it's not breaking down anytime soon, and to stand the 1,000-year test, it needs to be good enough to be around for 1,000 years. So when you're making something, I know it's your first time, but if it's not something you're super happy with or proud of, just chuck it in some water or just don't fire it, because the clay, when it's in its raw form, it can break down. You could put it in the garden. It's mud, essentially, with a few other things added in there, but it's mud. So don't fire it if you don't love it. That's my rule. I'm trying to get better at that too. Okay, this seems better. Score. Dip her in the water. Making sure that I blended. Happy with how this one turned out. I like the bottle shape of it. Now, when this dries a little bit, I can sponge this down. In the meantime, I'm just gonna tidy up the space a little bit. And there we have it, a little pinch pot vase made with 2 pinch pots and a few coils. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. Click those buttons, and if you make this, please show me. I would love to see it. Head over to my Instagram, it's elga.ceramics. Please tag me. I do live for I live for this. Make sure your notification bell is on if you want to see more of my videos.